Last week, we told you about our Best of 2023 collection featuring the Xfinity editor's favorite TV shows, movies, artists, albums, songs, and pop culture moments of the entire year, and gave you a sneak peek at numbers 10 through 6 on our annual 100 Best of Everything countdown. Today, on our very last show of 2023, just 2 weeks away from the new year, we're going to reveal our picks for the top 5 things in entertainment these last 12 months. So let's kick off the countdown with number 5. It is Beyonce, the Renaissance World Tour. Yes, Beyonce's 7th studio album, Renaissance, was released in July of 2022, but the impact of this critically acclaimed Grammy Award-winning album was felt far into 2023, with both a sold-out 5-month world tour and the recent release of Renaissance, a Beyonce film, which is a documentary showcasing her greatest live music creation to date. Last year, the Renaissance album actually made the 100 Best of Everything countdown, but just one spot higher at number 4. Maddie, you attended the Renaissance World Tour. It truly was one of the biggest entertainment events of the year. Did we get this right by putting this at number 5?
Well, obviously, I'm able to contribute to this list, so I do everything I can year over year to get Beyonce at least in the top 5. If it was up to me, she would be number 1 every time. So much great things to say about this album, this tour. I'll keep it brief. It was my favorite album of last year. It's my favorite Beyonce album, period. And the tour was so fun. Just like, I love when artists really embrace the fan culture and getting them to dress up and going with like a theme and an era, you could say. And Beyonce was in her kind of chromatic. There was a lot of disco balls and silver era, and that's how I dressed for the show. It's like Halloween when you go to some of these concerts, which I love. This was a fabulous show. Beyonce is incomparable when it comes to live performance because she can sit. She's probably one of the best vocalists of our generation, if not the best. Her choreography is fantastic, and the visuals always look phenomenal as well. So I'm okay with the 5 spot. At least we cracked the top 5, and getting her in the top 5 back-to-back years is, I just think, a win for the entire community of the Beehive.
And as I understand it, you're still making payments on these tickets that you got, right?
Am I?
I'm just kidding.
I was like, am I on a payment plan that I don't know about? No, I'm working up the money way too early for these shows.
It could not have been cheap is what the joke is.
Well, I will say this, that Beyonce and Taylor do a very good job at trying to stop the price gouging. So if you are part of the fan clubs, you can get some early access to tickets, and it's not so bad. So nice. Thank you to both queens for doing that.
Sammy, you didn't go to this one, did you?
I did not. I missed the Renaissance tour, but I did not miss the Beyonce train of fandom. I'm definitely a Beyonce fan. I don't know if I can consider myself like part of the hive per se. I feel like I maybe don't know enough. Like my cultural knowledge is not deep enough to give myself that title, but love Beyonce. She can do no wrong. Big fan.
All right, let's move on to number 4. It is The Last of Us on HBO and Max. Premiering all the way back on January 15th, 2023, The Last of Us was not only one of the top 2 TV shows of the year, it also firmly established star Pedro Pascal as entertainment's greatest post-apocalyptic daddy. Based on the wildly popular video game of the same name, The Last of Us followed Pedro as he escorts a teenager played by Game of Thrones alum Bella Ramsey across a zombie-infested United States in hopes that she'll unlock a cure to the global pandemic. Why do we love this show so much? Aside from the incredible performance by Pedro and Bella, who are both nominated for Emmys, this series' strength lies within its storytelling. And it's a story about trust, resilience, grief, humanity, and love. This is not a zombie story. It is a human story. And if you need any proof of that, just watch episode 3 entitled Long, Long Time. We've talked about it before here on the show. It features actors Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett giving 2 of this year's best performances in the single best episode of television I watched all year. Sammy, I'll start with you. I know you're a fan. How do you feel?
I loved this show. I think given the rest of the entertainment slate of the year, it's positioned correctly in the top 100. But I do remember when it premiered, all of us saying like, this is #1 of the year. It was an immediate hit among all of us. I watched my partner play The Last of Us games. I can't say that I played it myself, but I watched it happen. So I was semi-familiar with the story. And I just think they did an amazing job with it and definitely appreciated the amount of heart that is in this story versus the amount of gore and guts and terrifying fear that is more so of the narrative of the game.
Yeah, I'll keep it brief because you nailed it, David. But one of my favorite memories of us as editors talking about this show is you got to pre-screen a couple of the episodes, correct? And I think it was you or someone who told you that was just like, just wait for episode 3. Just wait for episode 3. And I was like, okay, how good could one single episode be? And then when I watched it and I was in pieces, I totally understood. But it's another great HBO show to just it's the top of the cultural zeitgeist in the moment, and being able to talk to it with family, friends, and coworkers was just a great experience for the couple of weeks that it ran.
Yeah, and probably the best video game adaptation of all time, at least for TV, certainly. Yeah, it's hard to believe this is all the way back in January, but it still resonates, I think, now, and cannot wait for this second season. All right, #3, we are at the top 3. It is HBO and Max again, and it is Succession. This year, we said farewell to Barry, The Crown, The Flash, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, and Dr. Phil, but only one TV series finale truly mattered, and that was Succession. After 4 consistently brilliant seasons, nearly 3 million viewers tuned in to HBO on Sunday night, May 28th, to see which of the Roy siblings would finally succeed their father as the head of Waystar Royco. It's never easy shutting down a beloved TV show, and you're never going to please 100% of the audience when it's all said and done, but Succession came pretty damn close to giving Kendall, Roman, Shiv, Tom, Cousin Greg, and the fans exactly what they deserved. The final season is up for 14 primetime Emmys at next month's awards ceremony, including Outstanding Drama and Acting nominations for, get this, Brian Cox, Kieran Culkin, Jeremy Strong, Sarah Snook, Nicholas Braun, Matthew McFadden, Alan Ruck, J. Smith Cameron, and Alexander Skarsgård. That's pretty much everyone. Succession was the best TV series of the year, and that's why it's here at #3. Sammy, Maddie, what do you think?
What more can be said about Succession that I think the three of us have collectively talked about in the past?
Yeah, I think too that this is going to go down in history as one of the greatest shows of all time. So it's exciting to have watched it from season 1. I think that decades from now, there will be people our age that need to say, oh, I got to finally go back and watch Succession, kind of how I felt about The Sopranos. I got to go back and watch that. I think there's going to be generations of people to come that have to go back and catch up on this one. And I think we were just lucky to be able to catch it while it was live on air. So couldn't agree more. This goes down as one of my favorite shows of all time.
I think part of what made this so much fun to watch collectively as a group is similar to what made Game of Thrones so exciting, is that we knew what the outcome would be. Someone was going to lead, someone would rise to the top, but there were many options, and it just became this thing where you were just constantly talking with everyone you ran into in the weeks leading up to this. Is I definitely think it's going to be Tom, it's definitely going to be Kendall, who's going to sit on the Iron Throne. And that kind of picking which direction it would go in, you don't get a lot of shared TV experiences like that. And that's why I love it.
Totally agree. And I think too that how do I say anything without, I'm not going to spoil anything, but I found the ending and who answered the question of who will be the successor much more satisfying than who ended up on the Iron Throne.
100%.
Fair enough? Okay.
Yes. Yeah. This was a better finale than Game of Thrones.
Great finale.
Absolutely. All right. I am really excited about #2. And number 2 is the one and only Taylor Swift. There is not a single actor, singer, musician, or celebrity who had a better 2023 than the one and only Taylor Swift. Taylor kicked off her epic year in February by casually winning a Grammy Award for her music video All Too Well, the short film. 1 month later, she officially embarked on the Eras Tour, a famously sold-out 149-date cultural phenomenon that grossed $780 million and claimed the record for the highest-grossing tour ever by a woman. It's the second highest-grossing tour overall behind another music icon by the name of Elton John. The tour was so popular that one of the show's opening songs, Cruel Summer, which was released 4 years ago, shot to number 1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart. During the tour, she also released 2 albums, 2 of her re-recorded albums, Speak Now, Taylor's version, which dropped in July, and 1989, Taylor's version, which dropped in October. And guess what? Both albums shot to number 1 on the Billboard 200 chart, giving Taylor a total of 13 number 1 albums, breaking a record for female artists previously held by Barbra Streisand. 1989 Taylor's version also broke the record for the fastest selling vinyl record of all time, since they kept track of that in 1991. And as if that wasn't enough, Taylor released a movie version of her Eras Tour show in theaters in October, and it earned more than $230 million worldwide, making it the highest grossing concert film of all time. And did I mention that nearly 30 million people watched the Sunday night football game between the New York Jets and the Kansas City Chiefs on NBC because it was reported that Taylor would be in attendance to support her then rumored boyfriend Travis Kelce? Do you know how hard it is to make anyone watch the New York Jets? Lastly, in 2023, Taylor officially became a billionaire. Taylor Swift, you had the best year ever.
I'm so proud of you, David. Thank you. Done. That was a great oral history.
Great roundup.
Yeah, the year for Taylor. What can you say? She is just, you can't deny her. She's undeniable. If you're not a fan of hers, I don't know what to tell you at this point, because clearly the world has just embraced her. I was at the Eras Tour. There was like medical, what do you call it? Like medical articles that came out of people that had amnesia after going to the Eras Tour because it was just so much at once. I certainly struggle from that. I'm like, wait, I was there? Wait, she did that? Oh, I forgot about that when I went and saw the movie the concert movie this year, and it was just magical. I am totally in. I'm a Swiftie for life. And I don't understand how anyone couldn't be at this point, but she's the best.
I mean, there's just so many other things. I mean, from just random things, from her randomly appearing on SNL, and like that was a moment, to clearly like her political influence and things we've heard about that this year. And the fact that, well, I mean, one of my favorite little anecdotes is the fact that, at least in Philadelphia, they sold tickets to the parking lot. So you could sit in the parking lot and listen to the concert, and like how there's just never been something like this. And if I'm being like totally honest, as I was doing this research and putting this together, I was like, maybe she should have been number 1.
I know, right? Like, I'm like,
I kind of think she should have been number 1. Sammy, are you a Swiftie?
I am. I can't say that I went to the Eras Tour, but I've been listening to Taylor Swift since the Taylor Swift album came out. I have been a longtime fan. She kind of lost me a little bit. I don't know if this is controversial. She lost me a little bit with her later albums. It became a little more like poppy, but the first like 3.5, 4, number 1 artist all those years. And I love the re-recordings. I just think it's really cool that she's doing that and that other artists are interested in following suit and sticking it to the man. So I'm all for it.
Sammy, is your favorite era debut?
Ooh, tough.
And David, I want to know yours too.
Yeah. I loved Speak Now so much. I used to listen to that with my sister in the car on the way to high school. Yeah, it could. I think it goes from beginning era through Speak Now. She kind of lost me after that.
My era is Red.
Nice.
I definitely lean more towards the pop, like Red and Fearless, I think.
So good.
And lost me a little bit with things like Folklore, but that's fine. I'm a massive Paramore fan, but they eventually lost me too. Artists grow, but your musical tastes don't necessarily have to.
Taylor
Well, I'm
Swift
going to vouch
forever.
for Folklore because I am a Folklore girly. That is my favorite album from Taylor Swift. But I'm like Folklore and then really small drop off and then Speak Now. I'm with you, Sammy.
Well, now that you've had number 2, I hope number 1's not a massive disappointment. But I still stand by it. Number 1, the best of 2023 is none other than Barbenheimer. In the wake of the COVID-19 pandemic, movie theaters were desperate for a cinematic event that would bring fans back to the squeaky chairs and sticky floors of their local multiplex. In 2021, Spider-Man: No Way Home created a glimmer of hope. In 2022, Top Gun: Maverick proved that audiences still crave summer blockbusters. But it was in 2023, the movie theater experience was officially declared alive and well with the simultaneous arrival of Barbie and Oppenheimer, which premiered on July 21st, 2023. If you are somehow not familiar with these films, Barbie is the Greta Gerwig directed live-action movie that follows the iconic Barbie doll played by Margot Robbie as she leaves her idyllic world and stylish dream house in search of a troubled human in the real world. And Oppenheimer is the Christopher Nolan directed movie about the creation of the atomic bomb. When it was announced that these two wildly different films would be released on the same day, social media had a field day, creating memes, poster mashups, and fake trailers until this cinematic moment was officially and unofficially branded as Barbenheimer. The buzz around this iconic moment in counter-programming led to a grassroots movement urging movie fans to buy tickets for both films on opening weekend. Even Tom Cruise posed on Twitter with tickets for a double feature of Barbie and Oppenheimer, while director Francis Ford Coppola called the films a victory for cinema, and Martin Scorsese called the stunt a perfect storm. Oh, and about that victory for cinema, Oppenheimer would go on to become the third highest grossing movie of the year worldwide with just over $948 million in ticket sales, while Barbie raked in more than $1.4 billion at the global box office to claim the number 1 spot atop the charts in 2023. And that is why Barbenheimer also tops our chart as the number 1 in the 100 best of everything. And this is not even including just the general cultural impact of Barbie on the year, the Halloween costumes, the memes, the music. It's a lot. So your thoughts on Barbenheimer at number 1?
Yes, agree.
I like it, Sammy. Short and sweet.
Oh, sorry. I thought that was my preliminary thoughts, and then I thought Maddie would give her preliminary thoughts, and then I'd go a little deeper.
All right. I agree. You know what? Now that we had time to talk it over, we are including 2 films in the 1 spot, so I think that gives it like a double boost. I loved both of these movies. I hope you 2 feel the same. These both rank in my top 5 for the year. I didn't do the full Barbenheimer experience. I saw Oppenheimer one day. I think a few days later I ended up catching Barbie. I'm still happy in the order that I ingested these 2 films in, but Oppenheimer might be my favorite on the year still. But Barbie was the funniest movie I've seen all year by a long shot, and one that I will revisit, I think, month after month, year after year moving forward. So I agree with this as the number 1 spot.
Yeah, I did do the Barbenheimer movie double feature. It was the first time I've ever done that before, see 2 movies in one night. It was so fun. All my friends got together. We went to the AMC, and there was a big debate on which one to see first. We ended up seeing Barbie first and then left off with Oppenheimer, which was kind of a bummer. It was a bummer note to end on if you've seen Oppenheimer, but again, it was just a marvelous car ride home, digesting both of these movies and the cultural impact of it. I think we'll see some attempts of this again to release 2 movies on the same day and try to turn it into a cultural phenomenon. But like David mentioned, the sort of grassroots movement of this just being like born of the fans really is what made it special, and it didn't feel too heavily marketing-y. If anything, I think Oppenheimer coming out on the same day as Barbie was like probably the best thing that could have ever happened to Oppenheimer. So yeah, loved both of these movies, and I'll rewatch them again time and time.
Yeah, and I think if we're talking like awards and Oscars, these 2 will absolutely be at the top of the list come early 2024. So we're weighing a little bit of that into this as well. But just to restate, like Barbie was everywhere this year. I mean, you didn't go out on Halloween without bumping into a Ken, someone wearing an I'm Kenough shirt. The I'm Just Ken song, the Dua Lipa song from this was everywhere. Like it really was a clap, clap. It really was a cultural moment that was everywhere. And I think you're right. Like Oppenheimer kind of got a little bit of a rub from Barbie on this one, because I'm not sure it would have cracked the top 5 on its own. Barbie would have.
I know Chris Nolan was like wavering on potentially moving the date. So that non-decision, I agree, is probably one of the better financial decisions he'll ever make in his entire life.
100%. Well, that is the top 5 of the year, and you can check out our entire Best of 2023 collection, including the entire 100 Best of Everything. It's 100 things. You've only seen 10 of them in the last 2 weeks. So go see numbers 100 through 11. It's a lot of fun. And you can check that out right now by saying Best of 2023 or what to watch into your Xfinity voice remote.